Hey guys, welcome to South PyTech, the Python programming channel. I hope you all are okay. So guys, in our last session, we have learned about the Pandas library and especially the essentials thing in Pandas, data frames and series. So as you know, we are moving with the basics of the data analysis and data manipulating in data frames. So the data frames were also discussed in our last vlog in the last session of the data frames, introduction to data frames. And today we are also going to learn some more essential thing in data frame. So let's walk through that what we have discussed and studied in our last topic. So you can see we have imported some pandas and numpy library over here because we have to play with the series, and series is a pandas library and attribute over here. And we have also solve and run queries like how to convert the series into data frame. We have also learned how to re-index the data frame over here, replacing the column names into the data frame by using index and column attributes. We have also studied how to recognize and how to obtain the index names and columns of the data frame. We have also run the query of a set of dictionary into a list, as you can see over here have written in the square brackets, and we have converted this list into data frame. And you can see on my screen how we have obtained the data frame of the list and rename by labeling into new index and column names and row names over here. So we have used the index and column attributes for the data frame function. Okay, in other topic we have studied the column selection, addition and deletion of the data frame, and we have studied how to obtain the column values, how we can multiply between the two columns of the data frames if we want to obtain a new column. We have also raised the flag values, and we have applied the condition within the column, right? And over here we are deleting the column, that is by using del function of the data frame and deleting the column name. And we are also using the scalar values of the column if you want to add a column with the single scalar value, so we can do by typing the integer value in double quotation. So it was the revision that we have done so far in our last video lecture. Now once again we have another data frame, and once again we are doing a few revision. These are the essentials. Before moving ahead into data analysis, we have to understand the re-indexing and the reassigning of the column name over here. We will be also using the dropping entries, rows and column from the axis. So let's start with the very basic of the data frames. So over here we can see we have assigned the data variable with the list with the state, name, year and population over here, right? So let's run this query, and we have to convert this a list into the data frame, and we have entered the data into data frame, and we have assigned a variable frame over here. So let's run this, and now we will see how our data frame looks like. So over here we can see the state, year and population. There are total 3 columns, and indexing is by default from 0 to 5. So we will be using the head function of the data frame if we want to obtain few values of the head, few values of the data frame. By default the pandas data frame bring us 5 head values, and if we want as per the user requirement, so if I enter head 2, so it will give only 2 values of the data as a head over here, right? So if you want to obtain total 9 values, so if there are 9 values, it will display 9 values over here. But unfortunately we don't have any 9 values. We just have only total 6 values over here, right? Okay, and similarly we can use the tail, because if we want to obtain the values from the last, so if we write tail, we can see it gives us the last 5 values, and if you want last 2 values from the bottom of the table, it will give last 2 values like 5 and 4 from the data over here. So these are the basics of the data frame. If we want starting values or the end values for column and rows of the data frame, so we can type frame dot head or tail respectively for the beginning and last value of the data frame. Okay, if you specify a sequence of columns, the data frame column will be arranged in that order. So over here we are reassigning the sequence, like if we want columns air, state and population. So if I run this query, we can see the columns are now reassigned by the air, first column, the state and the population. We can also rearrange the column as per user requirement. These are the sequence that we can arrange with the data frame. So we are using the PD pandas data frame, and we have been importing the data frame we have used above. These are the columns that we are assigning for the data frame over here. Okay, so if you pass a column that is not contained in the dictionary, it will appear with the missing values in the result. Okay, so let's see, we are using a new column that is depth, right, and index is 1 2 3 4 5 6. Okay, we have 6 values, so the index will be replaced from number to these integer values. But we can see that is a new column name, but we don't have values for it. So let's run and check what are the results of these. So if I type frame2, the new variable, and I want to see how the data looks like. Okay, so here you can see the dat column is not a number, the null values over here, because we are not having any values for the dat column. And we want to obtain the columns, like if we want to verify or validate our data frame. So we can see now we have total 4 columns, air, state, population and dat over here, right? So a column in a data frame can be retrieved as a series, either by dictionary like notation or by attributes. So we can also obtain the columns as we have already studied in our last session, that we can obtain the values by as a dictionary like notation, or as by the series. So these are the data frame. Over here we have to type these frame2 and the column name in single quotation, so we can obtain all the values of state with respect to index values. And over here we can also obtain the values of the data frame with respect to air and index value, right? So the name is mentioned over here, the state, and the name of the column over here is mentioned as a air, right? Okay, so there are 2 ways: frame2 and column name state, and frame2 column name that is air. So these are you can retrieve by as series or dictionary type. Okay, so now the next thing, columns can be modified by assignment. For example, the empty dat column could be assigned a scalar value or an array of value. So as we have studied above already, that we can assign a value, a scalar value of a new column by giving some condition or criteria or range, or by a scalar value. Over here we can see for the dat column we are having NaN values over here, but if you want to include some values, so we have assigned these by a scalar values over here. So we can see the frame2 values will be 16.5 for all 6 index rows, right? So if I run this and if I check my frame2, we can see the dat column values are scalar and fixed like 16.5. But if we want to assign a variable, or if we want to make some arrangement, so we can also type np arrange within 6. So if I run this, and we can see the values are now changing and that are in a variable form, starting from 0 1 2 3 4 and 5. So we have replaced the dat values within a range. So we are using a range function over here, as 6, so it will start from 0 by default and it will end up to 5. So the value of 6 is not included but it excluded. So over here we can see we have arranged the dat column values from 0 to 6. So this can be a scalar and we can also use array of values. Okay, so when you are assigning list of arrays to a column, the values length must match the length of the data frame. Okay, this is necessary because we have to look like, and this is very important, that we have to be very careful and conscious by assigning some values to index labeling, according to index labeling, as if the values are, exceed or lower, so it may give some error. If you assign a series, its label will be realigned exactly to the data frame index, inserting missing values in any holes. Okay, so we have assigned a new variable with a val value, and we are generating a new series with 3 values with index labeling 2, 4, and 5. So 3 values and 3 index label 2, 4, and 5. We can see we already have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, but we have assigned a series a new value 1.2, 1.5, 1.6 with index 2, 3, 4, 5. Now for the column dat, we have to assign new values value. We can see the dat column with index 2 will be reassigned to -1.2, as we can see over here. For row 4 over here, the dat column will be reassigned to value -1.5, and in this 5 row, the 5 index, we can see the value 4.0 will be replaced by -1.7. So this new series will be replaced by index values to the column data depth in frame 2. So let's run and check how it looks like. So we can see the values of 2 is replaced by 1.2. The value -1.5 has replaced the value of 4 over here, 3.0, and the 5 over here. So if I zoom, we can see the values are now changing over here, and the remaining value, the 1, 3, and 6, so these are not a number and they are not assigned because we have not assigned in our series the new series, that is value over here, right? So this how the value looks like. Okay. Now let's jump into the new query. Assigning a column that doesn't exist will create a new column. The del, that is the delete function keyword, will delete the column as with a dictionary. As an example of delete, del, I first add new column of boolean values and where the state of the column equals to Ohio. So over here we can see the frame 2, the eastern, basically the eastern is the new column, and what we are doing, we are assigning the frame 2 state with the name of Ohio. So let's run and check how this looks like, the frame 2. So we can see the frame 2 state, the first 3 values are assigned with the value for Ohio and the values that are equivalent to Ohio. So we can see the column eastern over here is boolean operated. We already know what are boolean values. Basically they are true and false. So we want to make the condition true, that we have to make the condition true that the value in frame 2 state column must match the value Ohio, right? And this will be a true and false, will be represented in the new column with the name of eastern. So we have assigned a new column eastern, and these frame 2 dot state values, the column Ohio must be equals to the Ohio. So when these are the equals, we are using the double is equals to over here. It means the value must be equal to Ohio. So when the condition gets true, we can see the true values in the eastern columns are representing over here, and the rest are false over here, right? So if I say, if I want Nevada, Nevada, and let's run and check what happened over here. So now the 4, 5, 6 values are true and the rest are false because Nevada match this case for the criteria of state value. Right, the del method can be used. Okay. Okay, so the the delete method can be used to remove this column. So we can remove the del column, the eastern column, by using the delete function over here in frame 2. Let's run and check how the frame now looks like. So the frame 2 converted into our previous data frame over here. Now if you want to verify the columns, so the columns are same over here. We can also transpose our rows and column by using the t function or the transpose. So these are the basically syntax related to Numpy array. We can use the frame2 dot t over here to get the rows convert into columns and column will be converted into rows. So let's check. We can see the index label, the rows basically are now our column headers, and the column headers, the A state, population and death are the index label. So these are basically our rows headers right now. So we can also convert these the data frame by making the transpose by the variable t by making the capital T over here. If the data frame columns are different data types, the data types of the values array will be chosen to accommodate all of the columns over here. So frame 2 values, we can also see the value of the frame are over here as in array form. Okay, so this was basically the queries of the indexing and how you can align the data frames as per the index labeling, playing with the column and range, adding and deleting the columns, making reassignment scalar value the array, right? And using the NP library over here, you are assigning the new data frame value over here in the depth column, and you are making the condition, making true and false boolean for the comparing the columns over here. We have also understood the the delete method by deleting the columns by making the transpose over here, right? Now some other basic essentials functionality in Pandas data frame. In this video we will be walk through the fundamental mechanics of interacting with the data contained in a series or data frame. We will also dive more deeply into the data analysis and manipulation topic using the Pandas. So over here we are also studying about reindexing, right? So an important method on Pandas object is reindex, which means to create new object with the data confirmed to a new index. Consider an example. We have assigned a variable object with a new series with index labeling dbac, and these are the values according to the index label. Let's run and check. The series is look like this, and we want to reassign these indexing by in a proper order. So we can see we have 4 values with respect to d, b, a and c, but we can see we have included e index over here. So we are using the reindex for the object over here. We can see object over here, the previous series name, and we are assigning into new object, that is 2. So if I run this and let's check, we can see we not having e, the value in e index, as we know we have assigned only 4 values over here with respect to a, b, c, d, right? So we have reindex with alphabetical order over here. Okay, so for order data like time series, it may be desirable to do some interpolation or filling values when reindexing. The method option allow us to do things using a method such as ffill, which forward fills the values. So the ffill is the automated thing that will fill your the values, the scalar value according to the data. Over here we are assigning a new object 3 with a new series blue, purple, yellow with index 0 to 4. So let's run and check this new series. Now we will re-index the object 3. We have assigned object 3 dot re-index the attribute of the data frame. We will be doing range 6, right, and method the ffill over here. We are using the ffill method over here. So what does it do? Let's run this query and check. We can see we have obtained the range total 6 values from 0 to 6, and this value, the range has been auto-filled by the method ffill with the values of series blue, purple and yellow. So the ffill has segregated the indexing the series according to the balance factor, like blue 2 times, purple blue 2 times and yellow 2 times, and the series is divided by the ffill method within the range function of the object 3 using the reindex function over here. So you see how this method is beautifully done over here. With DataFrame, reindex can alter either in the row index column or both. When passed only a sequence, it reindex the rows into the results. So over here we have another frame within the NP arrange 9, and we'll be using the matrix, or the matrix thing, the 3 by 3 rule. So we will be using the new attribute reshape 3 using the round brackets, index A, C, D, and Ohio, Texas, and California. So this is a new frame. So let's run and check. So we are having 3 labels A, C, D, as we have labeled over here. We have column names Ohio, Texas, California over here, and what we are doing, we are using 3 by 3 matrix with reshape, and we can see we have arranged total 9 variables over here by making the reshape 3 by 3 0 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. So this is how beautiful way we have rearranged and reshaped the data frame over here by using 3 by 3 matrix rule. So over here frame 2, we have assigned a new label frame 2, and the previous frame 3 by 3 we will be doing re-indexing, and we will be doing by A, B, C, D, but we can see there is a new index B, and we assume that it will be NaN values over here. So yes, the new frame, that is B, the new index, having all the values, not a number NaN, because in our original frame there was no such variable or no such index with the name of B, right? So the values are NaN. The columns can be re-indexed with the column keyword. Over here we have assigned a new variable state, and we are using the dictionary. Basically this is a list in square bracket, Texas, Utah and California. So what will we do? We will be using the original frame, this one. This is the original frame, and we'll be doing the re-index, and columns we are using the state. So the Ohio, Texas and California will be renamed by Texas, Utah and California, right? So let's run and check what happened. So we can see Utah was a new column because we are having the previous column like Ohio, Texas and California. So Ohio is removed and Utah is included. There is a new column, but we can see the Utah has not a number, it has no value, such values for all rows over here. So this was all about the re-indexing, and how we have to re-index and rearrange the data frame for our series, list and function and dictionaries. Now another and last topic, dropping entries, row and column from an axis. Dropping one or more entries from an axis is easy if you already have an index array or list without those entries, as that can require a bit of mugging and set logic. The drop method will return a new object with the indicated values or values deleted from the axis. So over here we have another object with a series NP range 5 with index labeling A, B, C, D, E. Okay, this look pretty good. So this is the series A, B, C, D, E, and we have to drop the row C. So what we are doing, we are using the new object, and this is the series object variable. We have to drop this one, and we can see we have dropped the rows over here by using the drop function over here, right? Now if we want to do this directly by not assigning any variable, as we have seen, and we are using 2 rows simultaneously, multiple rows, so we have to now drop the D and C over here, the 2 rows, basically the 2 index level. So let's run and check. So we can see A, B and E are here, and we have dropped the 2 index and 2 rows, that is D and C. With data frame index values can be deleted from access. To illustrate this, first we create example of data frame. So we have created the data frame with a new variable data with NP arrange 16 and the 4x4 matrix reshape. Index Ohio, Colorado, Utah, New York, 1, 2, 3 and 4 are the column names. So let's run and check how the data looks like. Okay, so this is the new data frame. Calling the okay, calling drop the function with a sequence of label will drop values from the row label access 0, right? So we are drawing basically access 0 represent the rows label. So we want to drop 2 rows, that is Colorado and Ohio. So let's run and check. We have assigned the data over here. So let's run. We can see we have dropped 2 rows, the Colorado and Ohio over here, and the new data is look like Utah and New York. Now we want to drop the column, so we have used the access 0, the complete column. Because we have to drop the complete column, we have used the data drop function. This is the column name and access 0 by denoting this is basically column. Because the data frame wants to know whether you are doing for the row or for the column, so we are doing for the column. We have used the value 1, and for row by the default value is 0. So let's run and check. We have dropped the column 2 over here, and 1, 3, 4 are represented over here. Okay, similarly we can do this for data drop 2 and 4 access column. We have retained the access and by string value by passing this column as because the 2 and 4 are the column, we are dropping this access by the column names. So let's run and check this query. So we can see we have dropped 2 and 4 columns over here, right? So the 2 and 4 has been dropped, and we are showing the 1 and 3 column over here. So many functions like drop, which modify the size or shape of a series or data frame, can manipulate an object in place without returning a new object. Okay, so we can also do this by making this, sometime it happens the data frame store the value by default into its cache memory. So we have to make it this thing that we have to do something as a true and by the true means. So we use the function by in place true, right? So we can use object drop in place true. So let's run and check this. So we can see we have dropped the row C over here, and we have done this by making this in place true. So note, be careful with the in place as it destroy any data that is dropped. So as I said that this in place true will destroy the data from the original data frame, and we have to be very careful to be using this in place function over here. So guys, this was all about the indexing and selecting the column and rows and dropping that from access 0 and access 1, and it was a prerequisite of our last lecture video that we have already studied how to manipulate the data by using index, scalar value, column, addition, deletion, the list, dictionary and series. So I will share this Jupyter notebook in my description, the link from the Google Drive. You can download this DataFrames lecture Jupyter notebook from my description. Do exercise and let me know your feedback, your comment, any queries that you want to know. Kindly do like, subscribe my channel and share as much as you can, and hit the bell icon for upcoming my new videos. So guys, we will be meeting in new video by making new topics, bringing up new topics, and we will be studying a lot more in the data frame in future videos. So guys, thank you so much. Take care. Bye bye.